So today we're going to talk about getting in the press, and specifically the 6 to 8 words that are necessary to get a media gatekeeper to open up your email. And that would be the great subject line. Feel free to ask questions along the way. Jump in verbally, since I've moved everyone out of the way, so I can see what I'm going to be presenting. We're going to use the term media gatekeepers here because a lot of people talk about journalists and reporters, and that's a huge segment, of course, of those who are putting out the press content. But you also now have podcasters, radio hosts, producers, bookers. There's a huge swath of people that are, op-ed editors who are well beyond your sort of reporter and traditional journalist title. So we use the term media gatekeepers. So 8 words to get in the press. At the end of the day, a lot of times you're not calling somebody. It's not a personal contact. You are pitching somebody who's getting hundreds and hundreds of emails a day. This quote here on the left, the subject line is everything. Without a good one, you're dead. Ryan Grimm is the former DC bureau chief for Huffington Post. He gave me this quote a few years ago. He told me he gets 400 emails a day. There's no way someone can read that many effectively and still put out 3-4 articles a day. If you look on the other side of your screen, you'll see that the Boscobel report survey showed that 75% of government contractor industry reporters produce 2 to 7 articles per week. Outside of that world, when I was a journalist, I was putting out 12 to 15 articles a week. It's 3 a day. 2 of them are usually short blurbs, and 1 is usually a longer, somewhat investigative piece involving comments and interviews and original research. And then 55% of government contractor journalists cover all business sectors, and there are at least 200,000 government contractor businesses. So if you're trying to get the attention of a government contractor journalist, you're going to have a hard time doing it because there's not that many of them. They're all doing multiple articles per week, and they're all getting multiple emails, multiple pitches per article, and have 30 people they can interview for an article. They only have space for 3. Any questions? So what does a great subject line do? It breaks through the noise, and it really summarizes the first paragraph, which summarizes whatever document you want them to read: a press release, an op-ed, an essay, a white paper. And no matter how big, 5,000 words, 500 words, that document is summarizing a much larger issue, a conference with 5,000 attendees, an M&A event that's going to be worth hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. The subject line, again, you have to reverse engineer this. You have a conference with 5,000 people. Then you have a press release that's 450 words that summarizes the conference. Then the first paragraph, which summarizes the 450 words, which summarizes the conference. And then you have 40 to 60 characters that summarize the first paragraph, which summarizes your document, which summarizes the larger issue. There are times where we spend almost as much time on a subject line in my company as we do on the rest of the document that we're sending. So how do you add value in 8 words or less? And 8 words is a number that I picked. Depending where you find online, it's 40 to 60 characters, 47 to 63 characters. So I like the number 8, so I picked that. It might be 7, it might be 9. But it's the 3 T's. It's the right topic at the right time from someone with the right title in 8 words. You have to add value and be interesting in only 8 words, because otherwise, a Business Insider style headline is too long for a subject line. It'll get ignored. A subject line that is boring, someone's reading 400 emails a day. They don't have the time to waste. They have to look and be interested. So the right topic would be Mark Amtower probably shouldn't talk about dog walking apps because he's not known for it, right? And so is that the right, I apologize. That's from someone with the right title. Mark Amtower is known as a GovCon marketing expert, not a dog walking app expert. At the right time, we're about to hit contract season. this might be a good time to talk about how companies can turn contract wins into better marketing and branding, like the piece that I got into Washington Technology the other week. And then the right topic is, again, the contract wins, right? So turning contract wins topic at the right time, right before all the contracts come out, from someone with the right title, Mark Antower, a well-known marketing and branding expert in government contracting. Does that make sense? I know I flubbed it there a little bit. So we're going to talk through a few examples. Ross Wilker, for example, at Washington Technology. Sometimes you want to lead with that person's name, especially if you know them. Do you want to interview this person? So Ryan Huss with Parabolis. Sometimes there's a hot topic, CMMC certification. Expert available because it's about to become formal policy. Sometimes your company will have news, your client will have news. So you want to put exclusive, because nothing makes a journalist happier, a media gatekeeper happier, than making their paycheck at the end of the week and having something to report on or talk about that nobody else does is the best way for them to keep their paycheck that week. For an op-ed or an essay, you don't want to say exclusive or expert available, submission or op-ed submission. And you want to double check the gatekeeper style, you want to check the outlet preferences, but essentially for an op-ed, it's usually going to be submission. That way they know they should look at it, and it's not just like a conversation or request for coffee. And the last one, this guest pitch, it's typically good for radio shows and podcasts. Guest pitch lets them know what the topic is, and then we have the topic of the conversation and the guest title and topic. And again, 8 words is a general size here. Might be try to make it shorter if you can. That's not usually possible. Don't make it much longer than 8 words, or you're going to run out of space in the email subject line space, but also especially on a mobile. And again, they're scanning subject lines. You do not want to waste their time. And the last thing we'll talk about here is a lot of PR firms will talk about relationships. We have relationships in an industry, and that's great, but they don't matter nearly as much as the 3 T's. I've pitched Ross Wilker's many op-eds and many client topics. He says no most of the time. If it's not perfectly on point for the 3 T's, even though I have a relationship with him. Likewise at Federal News Network and outlets outside of the government contracting space. We've had, my company's had clients go viral in certain political issues. And the same reporter in particular, this reporter who's helped our clients go viral, which benefits him and his brand, ignores us when we're not perfectly on time because we don't know what else he's reporting on or his schedule or topics his bosses have said you need to cover. Relationships might get your email read because they trust you. They see your name, they see the subject line and go, okay, I can trust Mark, I can trust Lisa to not waste my time. But that's all it will get you, because the 3 T's are way more important. The right topic at the right time from someone with the right title.